Welcome to my channel, Bookish English. My name is Ariel, and today I want to tell you a true style story, a simple story, but a very serious one. It is about a train, not just any train. People called it the safest train in the world. They said, "This train never fails. This train is perfect. This train is like a flying plane on the ground." Maybe you also trust things like this in your life. Maybe you think, this app is 100% safe, or this system never makes mistakes. But today, I want to walk with you slowly and show you how even the safest thing can suddenly fail, and what we can learn from it in easy English. So relax, listen, and imagine every scene in your mind, because this story is not only about trains and machines. It is also about people, about habits, and about how small things can change big things. Imagine a long, fast train shining like silver under the sun. It moves so smoothly that people inside feel like they sit in a quiet room. Children play on their phones. Parents drink tea and talk. Some people close their eyes and sleep. Some read books or watch videos. They feel safe. They feel calm. No one is afraid. Why? Because for many years, this train runs every day without problems. No big accidents, no scary news. Experts say, our system is perfect. Our safety is the highest. Our checks are strong. So little by little, people stop thinking about danger. They stop asking questions. They stop wondering, what if something goes wrong? In their minds, the train becomes like a strong wall that will never break. But walls can crack. Even strong walls can fall when small problems grow in silence. Now picture one special day. The train starts like always. The doors close. The lights are bright. A soft voice says, "Welcome on board." The wheels begin to move. The train leaves the station and quickly becomes very fast. You look outside. The world moves like a movie. You feel happy. You feel safe. You think, this is the safest train. Nothing can happen here. But deep inside the train system, something is different today. A tiny part is a little weak. A small sensor does not send a perfect signal. A small piece of metal is more tired than before. Maybe a worker wanted to check it last week but was busy. Maybe someone said, "It is okay. It is just a small thing. We will fix it later." And later never came. This is how many big problems start, not with one big mistake, but with many small, later moments. As the train runs, the weak part starts to feel the pressure. The speed grows, the heat grows, the force grows. The machine sends messages to the computer. The computer reads them and decides what to do. Normally, the system catches every small problem. Normally, the computer says, "Slow down, fix this, stop now." But today, one message does not arrive in time. One alert is too late. Maybe the software has a tiny bug. Maybe an update was not tested enough. The system that everyone calls perfect does not see the problem clearly. It is like a driver who wears glasses but has a small scratch on the glass. He can still see, but not perfectly. And when you move very fast, not perfectly can be very dangerous. Inside the train, the passengers feel nothing yet. A child laughs at a video. A man checks his work email. An old woman looks out of the window and enjoys the view. The seat feels soft. The air feels cool. The train feels like a safe room flying through space. But the driver at the front starts to feel worried. He looks at the screen. The numbers do not look normal. Maybe the speed is a little too high for this part of the track. Maybe the brakes show a small warning sign. He touches a button. He calls the control center. He says in a calm but tense voice, "I see something strange." The control center checks their own screens. For a few seconds, nobody is sure. Is it a real problem, or just a small error in the system? Those few seconds become very long. This is the moment we must understand deeply. When we believe something is the safest in the world, we often relax too much. We start to trust the system more than our own eyes, more than our own common sense. Some people in the control room say, "It is probably nothing. The system is strong. This train never fails." Others feel a small fear in their stomach and think, "But what if today is different?" The driver looks again at the track ahead. A curve is coming. The train is still too fast. His heart starts to beat faster. He knows the rules. He knows the system. But now he must decide, believe the system or believe his feeling. He pulls the brake harder. The machine answers, but not fast enough. The train begins to shake. Passengers start to look up. The safe room does not feel so safe now. In that shaking moment, time feels slow. A cup of tea falls on the floor. A phone slips from someone's hand. A baby starts to cry. People look at each other with wide eyes. They do not know what is happening, but they feel something is wrong. This is the first time many of them think, "Can this train really fail?" For years they hear words like safest, perfect, never, always. Now they see with their own eyes that there is no such thing as never. There is no machine that cannot break. There is no system that cannot make a mistake. The train finally slows down, but not in a smooth way. The brakes scream. Bags fall. Some people hit the seat in front of them. The train stops in the middle of the track, not at a station. The lights flicker for a second. The voice on the speaker is shaky. It says, "Please stay calm. We have a technical problem. A technical problem." Such a small, soft phrase for such a big, scary feeling. People look around. Some are angry. Some are scared. Some are silent, trying to understand. This train, the safest train, has failed, not in a complete disaster, but in a way that shows clearly. Safety is not magic. Safety is work. Safety is checking small things. Safety is never sleeping. Later, many experts come. They open machines. They look at wires. They read data. They ask questions. They find the weak part. They find the late signal. They find the small later that became a big too late. And in their long reports, one lesson shines like a bright light. When we think something is too safe to fail, that is exactly when we are in danger. Because we stop learning. We stop checking. We stop asking, "What if?" My friend, This story of the world's safest train is not just about trains. It is also about your life, your habits, your learning, even your English. When you think, I am fine, I do not need to practice, that is when your progress stops. When you think, I know enough, that is when you close the door to growth. So as you listen to this story on Bookish English, I want you to remember one simple idea. Never trust perfect. Trust practice. Trust small checks. Trust daily care. Machines need it. Systems need it. People need it. You and I need it. Today, we talked about the moment when the safest train suddenly failed. In the next part of this story, I will walk with you inside the investigation. We will see how one small problem grew step by step and how different choices could make a different ending. After the train stops and the first fear becomes a little quiet, the real story begins. The slow, careful story of questions, answers, and truth. Because every big failure has a long shadow behind it, a shadow made of choices, habits, and small details that people did not see in time. And I, Ariel from Bookish English, want to walk with you step by step inside that shadow in easy English, so that you can see clearly how the world's safest train suddenly failed and how this lesson can also help you in your own life and learning. First, imagine the scene after the stop. Outside the windows, there is no station, no platform, only empty land, trees, or fields. Inside, people sit and wait. Some talk in low voices. Some send messages to family. The train stopped. I am okay, but I am scared. The staff walk through the train. Their faces try to look calm, but their eyes show stress. They say, "Please stay seated. We are checking the problem." They do not give many details because they do not know everything yet. They also wait for answers from the control center. At the same time, in a tall building far away, the control room is full of busy hands and moving eyes. Many screens show numbers, maps, and signals. The train that stopped is now red on the screen, not green. Red means trouble. The managers gather around. They ask, what happened? Was it the track? Was it the brakes? Was it the power? A young technician opens the data log. Every second of the journey is recorded there. Speed, temperature, pressure, brake force, all in long lines of numbers. He scrolls back and back, looking for something strange. For a long time, everything looks normal. Then, some minutes before the stop, he sees a small change. A sensor sends a warning. Not a loud alarm, only a soft one, a message that says, "This part is getting hot." The system marks it with a tiny symbol on the screen. That symbol was there, but no one in the control room saw it in time, because many other signals were also on the screen. The symbol was not big. It did not flash. It did not shout. It whispered, and its whisper was lost in the sea of information. This is the first deep lesson from the investigation. Sometimes danger does not arrive like a loud shout. Sometimes it arrives like a small voice, like a soft tap on the door. And if we are too busy, too sure, or too tired, we ignore it. In the interviews later, one worker says, "Yes, I remember that small symbol. I thought it was not serious because the system did not ring the main alarm. Another worker says, "We trusted the software. If it was serious, the system would stop the train by itself." They were not lazy or bad people. They were normal people inside a huge system that told them everything is safe, everything is okay, trust the computer. Do you see the problem? When we give all our trust to a machine or a rule, we slowly stop using our own judgment. We stop asking, "Does this feel right?" Now, think about the train company's history. For many years, they had a clean record. No big accidents. Many small problems, yes, but they were always fixed. Each time something broke, they repaired it quickly. Each time a sensor warned, they checked it, wrote a report, and moved on. Over time, this success felt like proof that their system was perfect. Managers started to say in meetings, "We are the safest in the world." They printed this line in their books and on their posters. They used it in their advertisements. They felt proud. Pride is not always bad, but pride can make us blind. When you feel too proud, you stop looking for weakness. You think, problems are for other people, not for us. And when you stop looking for weakness, weakness grows quietly. Investigators also visit the maintenance team, the people who check the trains between journeys. They talk to a man who has worked there for 20 years. His hands are strong. His face shows long days and nights with tools and noise. He says, "We used to check every part slowly by hand. We listened to every sound. We felt the metal with our fingers. We knew each train like our own family. But in the last years, things changed. The trains became faster, more modern. The company wanted more trips. There was more pressure to finish checks quickly. We got new machines, new computers to help us. They said, 'The system will tell you where the problem is. You don't need to check everything like before.' So we started to trust the system more and our own senses less." He looks down and adds quietly, "Maybe we trusted it too much." One small detail comes out. A few days before the failure, there was a short report about the same part that later caused the problem. A worker noticed a tiny change, a small noise, a small vibration. He wrote it in his notes, but the notes stayed in a pile of papers on a desk. The supervisor wanted to plan a full check for the next week. That check never happened because other urgent tasks came first. There was a staff shortage. Someone was sick. Another worker had to cover 2 jobs. The small note about the small noise stayed under other papers. This is how serious accidents grow. From one small note not read in time, one small task pushed to later, one small noise that nobody hears again until it becomes a scream. Think about this in your own life for a minute. When you learn English, maybe you have small problems too. Maybe you always forget some simple words. Maybe you always make the same mistake with in, on, or at. You notice it. You think, "I should fix this." You even write it in your notebook. But then life is busy. You go to work. You help your family. You feel tired. You say, "I will fix it later." Then weeks pass, and the small problem is still there. One day, when you need to speak in an important moment, that small problem becomes big. You feel stuck. You feel shy. You say, Why did this happen? And the answer is the same as with the train. We did not listen carefully to the small signs. We did not fix the small weaknesses in time. Back to the investigation. The experts build a clear picture. They see that no single person made one huge mistake. Instead, many people made small, understandable choices. The software team thought the warning level was good enough. The maintenance team thought they had enough time to fix the part later. The managers thought their record of safety meant they did not need to be worried about one small note. The control room believed the system would act if there was real danger. The driver hoped the automatic brakes would protect him. Each person did what felt normal inside the culture of "we are the safest." But all these small choices connected like pieces of a puzzle and created one day when the train suddenly failed. The news later tells the story in big letters. People are angry. Some say the company lied. They said it was the safest train. Some say fire the driver. Others say blame the managers. But deep down, the lesson is larger than one driver, one manager, or one company. The lesson is about how humans behave when we are surrounded by strong systems and big words like never and always. We relax. We stop checking. We stop asking. We stop being curious. We think, this is safe forever, and nothing in life is safe forever without care. In long meetings after the failure, the company decides to change many things. They decide that small warnings on the screen will not be small anymore. They will be bigger, brighter, louder. They decide that every note from maintenance will be checked within a short time, not when we are free. They decide to train staff again, not only in how to use the system, but also in how to question the system. They tell the workers, if something feels wrong, do not wait for the computer to agree. Speak, act, stop the train if you must. They also change their words to the public. They stop saying, safest in the world, in a proud, closed way. Instead, they say, we aim for the highest safety, and we work every day to improve. These new words are more honest. They show that safety is not a trophy you win once, but a road you walk every day. My friend, as you listen to this on Bookish English, remember that your own journey with English is also like this. You cannot say, now I am perfect, and stop. You cannot say, I know enough words, and close your notebook forever. Just like the train, your English needs small checks, small repairs, small improvements every day. One new word, one fixed mistake, one extra sentence you say out loud on the bus or in your room. If you respect these small actions, you will avoid big failures, like freezing when you want to speak or forgetting everything in a real conversation. In the next 1,000 words, I will take you even deeper into the heart of this story. We will sit with the driver, feel his thoughts, and see what he learned from that day, and how his lesson can become your lesson too. When we talk about the world's safest train suddenly failing, it is easy to think only about systems, machines, and companies. But inside that metal body, there is also a human heart. And now, I want you to sit with me, Ariel from Bookish English, and step into the shoes of the driver on that day, because his story is also our story. A story about pressure, fear, responsibility, and learning. Imagine him in the early morning before the journey. He wakes up like any other day. He drinks his tea or coffee. He puts on his uniform. He feels the weight of his job, but it is a familiar weight, like a bag he has carried for many years. He knows this train very well. He has driven it many times. People call him experienced. The company trusts him. He trusts the train. When he walks into the cabin at the front, he touches the controls like an old friend. The screens light up. The numbers shine. Everything looks normal. He does his routine checks: speed control, brake system, communication line, all green, all okay. He takes a deep breath and thinks, another safe trip. The doors close. The train begins to move. For a long part of the journey, everything is calm. The track ahead is clear. The train runs smoothly. He looks at the speed and adjusts it carefully. He talks to the control room from time to time with short, formal words. This is his daily life. Passengers behind him relax and enjoy the ride. But then, sometime before the failure, something small changes. Maybe he hears a tiny new sound, a soft vibration he did not feel yesterday. Maybe he sees a number on the screen that is a little higher than usual. It is not a big alarm, not a flashing red light, just a small difference, the kind of thing most people would ignore. His mind notices it, and a quiet voice inside him says, "This is not exactly like before." At the same moment, another voice in his head answers, "The system knows what it is doing. The train is safe. The company says so. Do not overreact." So he continues, but his eyes now move faster across the screen. His body becomes tense. His hands stay close to the controls. This is the first inner battle. Trust the system or trust your own feeling. As the train gets closer to a curve, the feeling grows stronger. The driver checks the speed again. It seems too high for his comfort. The system tells him it is still within the allowed limit. The computer does not shout, "Danger." The control room does not call him in panic. On paper, everything is safe, but his experience, his memory of hundreds of similar curves says, "Slow down more." He has seconds to choose. If he slows too much and nothing happens, maybe the company will say he made people late, that he was too careful. If he does nothing and something goes wrong, the result can be terrible. This kind of moment is not only for drivers. All of us face moments like this in our own smaller ways. You feel something is not right with a friendship, with your health, with your habits. But on the outside, everything looks normal. Do you listen to the small voice, or do you hide it under, "It is probably nothing"? The driver decides to act. He pulls the brake to slow the train more than the system expects. The train begins to slow, but the weak part inside the machine has already reached a dangerous point. The curve is near. The weight of the whole train pushes forward. The wheels and tracks feel great stress. The control room suddenly sees changing numbers and calls him, "Is everything okay?" He answers with short words, trying to stay calm. "I have an irregular reading. I am braking." His heart beats faster. He can feel the lives of hundreds of people behind him like a heavy stone in his chest. When the train shakes and the loose objects fall, he knows his nightmare has arrived, not a complete crash, but a serious failure, a moment that will be written in reports, shown in news, and replayed in his mind again and again. When the train finally stops, the driver does not relax. He does not cry. He follows the emergency steps. He talks to the staff. He talks to the control room. He checks if anyone is badly hurt. On the outside, he looks strong and professional. On the inside, he is full of questions. Did I do enough? Should I have braked earlier? Should I have shouted louder to the control room? This feeling of, did I do enough? Can be heavy and painful. Maybe you also know this feeling in your own life, after an exam, after a conversation, after missing a chance. You think again and again about what you could have done differently. The driver will sit in many interviews later. People will ask him about every second before the failure. Some will do it gently. Some will sound like they blame him. He will repeat his story many times, and each time he will see the day again in his mind like a movie. But here is something important. The investigation shows that the driver actually helped prevent a worse disaster. His decision to brake, even a little late, helped the train slow enough to avoid a full crash. If he had trusted the system completely and done nothing, the result could be much more tragic. The experts tell him this. They say, "You were right to act on your feeling." This does not erase his stress, but it gives him a small light in the dark. He understands that his human judgment, his experience, still matters in a world full of smart machines. And this is another big lesson for all of us. Tools and systems are helpful, but they cannot replace a thinking, feeling person who is awake and paying attention. Your brain, your eyes, your heart are still needed. In a train cabin, in a classroom, at work, and even when you learn English. The company decides to use his experience to train new drivers. They invite him to speak in front of groups. At first, he is nervous. He is a driver, not a public speaker, but he knows his story can save lives. So he stands in front of a room and says in simple words, "Do not be afraid to be more careful than the system. If something feels wrong, speak." If the computer says okay, but your heart says no, listen to your heart too. The young drivers listen quietly. Some take notes. Some just watch his face and feel the truth in his eyes. He is not perfect. He is not a hero in a movie. He is a normal person who faced a very hard day and decided to learn from it. Now, let us bring this close to you again. When you learn with bookish English, you may sometimes think, there is one best app, one best method. If I find it, I will be safe. I will not make mistakes. But real life is not so simple. There is no safest train in learning. There is no single tool that will do everything for you. You still need to think, to feel, to notice what works for you. Maybe one teacher says, "Do only grammar exercises." Another says, "Just listen and relax." Some app says, 10 minutes a day is enough. These are like different systems on different trains. Helpful, yes, but not perfect. Your job is to be like the careful driver. Look at the signs, listen to the advice, but also listen to your own inner voice. Are you really improving? Are you really using English in your daily life? If not, maybe you need to pull the brake and change direction a little, even if the app says, "Good job, streak complete." After some months, the driver goes back to work, but his way of working is different now. He still trusts the train, but in a more active way. At the start of every journey, he takes 1 extra minute to check the screens with more care. He listens to the sounds around him with more attention. He talks to the maintenance team and asks simple, direct questions. Any small issues I should know about today? He does not care if other people think he is too careful. He knows that true safety is not about big words. It is about small actions repeated every day. And you can do the same with your English. 1 extra minute reading out loud, 1 extra check of a new word, 1 extra time listening to a sentence until it feels natural. These actions look small, but they build a strong safety system for your confidence. For the driver, the day of the failure will always be a mark in his life. But over time, that mark slowly changes shape. At first, it is only pain and fear. Later, it becomes also a teacher. He learns to live with it and grow from it. When he looks at his passengers now, he does not just see faces. He sees families, dreams, stories sitting on his train. He feels a deep respect for every journey. And maybe in a similar way, you can look at every English word not as a small, boring thing, but as a part of a bigger journey. Your journey to a new life, new chances, new people. In the next part of this story, we will zoom out even more. We will see how the whole country reacted, how rules changed, and how one failure, painful and scary, became a seed for better safety for millions of people. When news of the world's safest train suddenly failing reached the country, it did not stay a quiet story inside one station or one company. It spread fast like a wave. And I, Ariel from Bookish English, want you to travel with me now through that wave, because how people reacted, how leaders reacted, and how rules changed will show you another side of this lesson in simple words. First, think about the passengers on that train after they finally reached a station. Some were taken to the hospital for small injuries. Some went home with shaking hands and tired hearts. Reporters waited outside with cameras and microphones. They asked, "What happened? Were you scared? Did the staff help you?" Different people gave different answers, but almost all of them said one similar line: "I trusted this train. I never thought this could happen." That sentence appeared again and again on TV, in newspapers, on social media. It was like the country's voice saying, "We believed in you. How could you fail us?" This feeling of broken trust is very strong. When something we believe is safe suddenly fails, we do not only feel fear, we also feel hurt. Politicians quickly noticed the anger. On TV, some stood and said in serious tones, "We must protect our people. We will find the truth." They visited the site. They talked to the company leaders. They promised strong action. Part of this was real concern. Part of it was also about their image. In times of crisis, leaders want to look strong. But real change needs more than strong words. It needs patient work, listening, and learning. The transport minister ordered an independent investigation, not just by the company itself, but also by outside experts who had no reason to hide problems. This was important because sometimes when people check themselves, they are too soft. When others check them, the picture becomes clearer. It is like when you write in English and only you read it. You may not see your mistakes. But when a friend or a teacher reads it, they see things you missed. The investigation group met in a quiet room with many files and screens. They did not start with blame. They started with questions. They looked at past reports, old emails, meeting notes, technical plans. They read about small issues from years before that were fixed but never fully understood. They saw patterns, warnings that were marked as low risk, software updates that were delayed, safety drills that were planned but later canceled because we are too busy this month. None of these things alone was enough to cause a big failure, but together they created a culture where later was normal and good enough replaced best we can do. This happens in many places, not only in train companies. In schools and offices and families, people say, "We will do it later," and later sometimes never comes. The investigation also looked at the laws and rules made by the government. They found that many safety standards were written long ago, before trains became so fast and systems so complex. The law said some checks must be done once a year, but in reality, the world changed faster than the law. It was like telling someone, "It is enough to clean your house once a year when dust comes every day." So the group recommended new rules, more often checks, better training, and clearer lines of responsibility. They said, "We must not only focus on building faster trains. We must also build stronger safety culture." This sentence, safety culture, became popular. People realized that safety is not only about metal and software. It is about how people think, how they talk, how they decide every day. Some citizens were not satisfied. They wanted quick punishment. They said, "Shut down the line, fire everyone at the top, sue the company." Their anger was understandable. When we are scared, we want to see someone pay. But the investigation leaders tried to explain that while some people did make mistakes, the deeper problem was bigger. A system that rewarded speed and cost saving more than careful checking. For many years, the company was praised for being on time, for carrying millions of people quickly, for using the newest technology. Safety was always mentioned, but slowly it moved from the center to the side, not by evil plan, but by daily habits. It is a quiet, slow shift, like a river slowly changing its path. To repair trust, the company had to do more than fix one broken part. They opened their doors to more inspections. They invited international experts. They shared more information with the public, including things they once kept inside. They started new programs, surprise safety drills, extra rest time for drivers, regular mental health support for staff who carry heavy responsibility. They also invited passenger groups to give feedback, not just about comfort, but about feeling safe. Some trains added simple screens showing live safety data for passengers: speed, position, safety margin. They wanted people to feel included, not kept in the dark. This was a big change from the old style of, "Trust us, we know everything." Now the message was, "We are learning with you. We will show you what we do." The media played a strong role too. Some channels reported in a balanced way. They explained technical details in simple language. They showed both the problems and the improvements. But other channels chose more shocking words. They used dramatic music and titles like "Death Train" or "Trust Broken Forever," even though no one had died in this failure. They wanted views and clicks. Their style made some people even more afraid to take trains. This shows another truth of modern life. Information can help or hurt safety. Calm, clear facts help us learn and improve. Loud, fearful words make us panic or feel hopeless. When you learn English and listen to news, it is good to ask yourself, is this information helping me understand or only making me more afraid? In schools, some teachers use this train story as a lesson. In science class, they talked about sensors, software, and mechanics. In social studies, they talked about responsibility and trust. In ethics, they asked students, if you were the driver, what would you do? If you were the manager, what would you change? These discussions helped young people see that safety is everyone's job, not just one person's. Some students said, if I work in a big company one day, I will speak up when I see a problem, even if others say it is small. This is how change really spreads, not only through new rules, but through new minds and hearts. And what about the passengers? At first, many were afraid to ride trains again. Some changed to buses or cars. Some avoided that specific line completely. But slowly, after seeing the changes, some of them returned. They saw more staff on the platforms. They heard new safety announcements. They noticed slower speed in risky areas. Over time, their fear softened. They remembered that while this failure was serious, most journeys before and after were safe. Human memory is strange. It holds both fear and trust. We must feed the side we want to grow. If we only remember fear, we stop moving. If we only remember trust without learning, we repeat mistakes. Wise people remember both. The good and the bad, the success and the failure. This is very similar to your English journey. Maybe you had a bad moment in the past, a time when you tried to speak and could not, a time when someone laughed, a time when you felt, I failed. After that, you might feel afraid to try again, just like those passengers afraid to ride the train. But remember what happened in the country. People looked at the failure, learned from it, changed their rules, and then slowly started again. You can do the same. Look at your failure with gentle eyes. Ask, what small warning did I ignore? Did I practice enough? Did I listen enough? Did I check my weak words? Then change something small. Maybe you add 5 minutes of speaking practice each day. Maybe you listen to one easy story every night. Maybe you join a small group online. Slowly, your trust in yourself will grow again. In the years after the incident, statistics showed something interesting. Serious train problems actually went down, not up. This single failure became a wake-up call that pushed everyone to be more careful. Of course, no one wanted the failure. It hurt people. It scared families. But since it had already happened, the only wise choice was to learn from it and build something stronger. Leaders from other countries even visited to study what changes were made. They wanted to avoid the same mistake in their own systems, so the story of one train on one day became a lesson for the whole world. That is the strange power of failure. If we are honest and open, it can protect many others in the future. As you sit here with me on Bookish English, listening in simple language, I want you to feel something gentle but strong in your heart. You do not need a life without mistakes. You need a life where mistakes are teachers, not monsters. The world's safest train suddenly failed, and it hurt many people. But that day also started a new chapter of better safety, better listening, and better honesty. Your English will also have failure days. Maybe you forget a basic word. Maybe your mouth feels locked. Maybe you misunderstand something simple. Do not hide these moments under the bed. Bring them into the light. Study them like the investigation group studied every second of that train journey. Ask simple questions. Make simple changes. And then, like the country did with its trains, go back on the track again, a little wiser, a little stronger, and a lot more human. In the next part of this story, we will zoom in one more time, not on the company or the driver, but on one normal passenger whose life changed because of that day, and how this connects deeply with your own story of learning. Now I want you to sit beside one normal person on that train, one quiet passenger whose life changed because of that day. Because sometimes the biggest lessons do not happen in offices or control rooms. They happen inside one human heart. And I, Ariel from Bookish English, want to tell you this part in the same simple way so you can feel it and learn from it. Imagine a young man named Rafi. He is not famous. He is not rich. He is just a normal office worker who takes this train almost every week to visit his parents in another city. For him, the world's safest train is not a big idea. It is just a routine, a habit, the easy way to travel. He buys his ticket on his phone. He arrives at the station without thinking much. He walks to the platform, stands in the crowd, checks his messages, looks at the clock. When the train comes, he feels calm. The sound of the doors, the voice of the announcements, the gentle start of the movement, all of this is familiar and boring in a comfortable way. He sits near the window. He takes out his earphones. He chooses music or maybe an English story, maybe something from Bookish English. He plans to relax, listen, and maybe sleep. In his mind, the journey is safe and simple, like a straight line from point A to point B. When the train begins to shake later and suddenly stops in the middle of the track, Rafi's body reacts before his mind. His heart jumps. His hands grab the seat. For a moment, he imagines the worst. A crash, a fall, fire, screaming. But after a few seconds, he realizes he is still alive, still sitting, still breathing. He hears a baby cry. He hears someone whisper, "What is happening?" He smells spilled tea. He looks around and sees fear in other faces that look like his, normal people who came for a normal trip. When the announcement says, "We have a technical problem, please stay calm," he feels both relief and anger. Relief because it is not a full disaster. Anger because he thought this train could never have a technical problem at all. He remembers all the posters and ads and news that called it the safest train in the world. Now he feels those words were like a pretty dream that suddenly broke. For hours, Rafi waits with the others until the train can move again, very slowly, to the nearest station. During that long wait, he has time to think. He thinks about how easily he trusted this system without question. He thinks about other parts of his life where he also trusts without thinking, like the food he eats, the apps he uses, the information he reads online. He realizes that most of the time he is on automatic mode, just like the train. He follows paths that other people designed. He believes what ads and big words say. He does not often stop and ask, "Is this really safe? Is this really good? What is happening behind the scenes?" This thought makes him a little uncomfortable, but it also wakes him up. It is like a small light turning on in a dark corner of his mind. After he finally gets home that evening, his parents hug him tightly. His mother's hands shake when she touches his face. She saw the news on TV. She imagined the worst. Now, seeing him safe in front of her, she cries a little and says, "Thank God you are okay." His father is quieter, but his eyes are wet. They all sit together and watch the news. Rafi feels strange to see his own train on the screen, the same carriage numbers, the same color, now surrounded by emergency workers and cameras. The reporter talks about failure, investigation, safest train, trust, and questions. Rafi is not just a viewer now. He is inside the story. He can smell the fear again. He can feel the shaking again. The news is no longer about them. It is about us. It is about me. In the days after, Rafi goes back to his normal life, but something inside him is not the same. At work, when people talk about the train, some only repeat what the news said. "Never take that line again," one says. "All trains are dangerous," another says.